In the last video, we talked about the importance of iterative transformation. Since we did an entire video on it, I won't go into it here. So check out that last video to set the stage for this video. In this video, we'll talk about how to implement or bake in iterative transformation into your organization so that it's not simply something that you do from time to time, but it's more how your organization actually operates. So let's get right to it. I'll start off this video with a bit of good news. While the nuances of modernization and transformation from a technical perspective and a change perspective, they're not trivial. The approach to iterative transformation isn't terribly complicated. Iterative transformation is done normally using the plan, do, check, act model or approach. This is where you plan out what you're going to do first, do what you've planned. Next, you're going to audit or check for mistakes, challenges, lessons learned, etc. And then finally, you're going to fix or act on what you discovered in the audit or check phase. Plan, do, check, act. If you're more of a visual person like me, consider this approach like a circle where you're continuously going around the circle and your organization is always in one of the 4 stages of plan, do, check, act. Each time around the circle, your organization is taking a step forward, innovating, growing, improving, becoming more efficient. I hope you get the picture. Now, depending on the size of your organization, you may actually have multiple iterative transformation efforts going on at the same time. And they could be all in different phases of plan, do, check, act. So think of a large system where you can be iteratively transforming the front end, middleware, platforms that all of those things sit on, and the data stores that they're pulling from. Each layer, if you will be progressively transforming little by little over time to better serve your customers, your employees, your partners, you name it. So let's dive even deeper into the how. For the plan phase of things, you want to be constantly gathering data and information or requirements from employees, customers, systems, partners, whomever. Wherever there's data to be gathered or information to be gathered, you're going to want to gather it, analyze it, and make decisions on it. You want to constantly extract challenges, problems, wants, needs, whatever it is, from that information and from those stakeholders. You want this information to be as comprehensive as possible. You can do this through complex data analysis or things more simple like surveys, interviews, meetings, reviewing customer comments, posts online or on website, and more. Since you'll be dealing with different sources of data and information, it's also important that you're able to evaluate the information holistically and not sort of myopically. You want to be able to spot things like trends and duplicates and urgencies and more. To do this, you'll have to use and leverage technology. It can be as complex as AI, or it could be as simple as a spreadsheet and everything in between. Ultimately, you're going to use this information to develop your plan and scope for each iteration. Next is the do phase. I'll keep this very simple. This is where you do the work to implement the changes you've scoped out in the plan phase. This could be as small as a new button on an interface or larger like onboarding a team onto a new system. Now onto the check phase, where you're going to evaluate what you did in the do phase. What worked? What didn't work? How well did it work? Did we break something by making these changes? I hope you get the picture. If I'm using the new button on an interface example, it could be that the button works, but when it's clicked, something is not quite the way we want or planned. Or if I'm using the onboarding a new team onto a new system example, it could be that the onboard was generally successful, but there's two users having major access or functionality issues. You want to gather all of this information in the check phase because you'll need it moving forward, whether it's in this iteration or potentially in future iterations of Plan, Do, Check, Act. Finally, there's the act phase. This is where you act on or implement changes based on your findings in the check phase. This can be simply fixing something small from the do phase and just calling it a day. Or it could be much more complex where you actually broke something in the do phase, and the only way that you can fix it is by feeding that problem or those requirements into that next phase or iteration of Plan, Do, Check, Act to actually fix it. I hope you can see how iterative transformation ensures success for your organization over time, consistently moving you forward, transforming, innovating, and modernizing as you go.